Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Craftmania, and today I'm bringing you our brand new die of the week. Now this week we have got an incredible offer for you, and I have a feeling you're going to absolutely love this one. But before we take a little look at this die and then lots of sample cards created with it, don't forget to make sure you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel and tick that little bell so that you get your notifications. We would hate for you to miss out on any of our videos. As you can see, we have an awful lot coming to the channel, and we don't want you to miss a single thing that's going on. Now, as with all of our die of the weeks, or little sneaky, there is of course a designated page for you to pop onto and get hold of our die of the week and all of the other goodies that have been focused on our cards. So pop onto the website www.craftmaniacrafts.com, and then across the top you will see the menu, or on the drop down if you're on a mobile device, either or. Find the one that says YouTube and give that a click. When you head on through to our YouTube page, you will find a little box for every video that we upload so that you know where all of the goodies are. In that little box or into that page, it will take you through, and everything I've used on the cards I'm going to share with you, from the cardstock, the ribbons, the gems, the pearls, everything basically will all be on that one page to save you hunting for it. We stock over 10,000 items at Craftmania, and we don't want you to have to go searching for things. If you see them on a card, we want to make it easy for you. That page will also be linked in the description to today's video as well. So if you'd like to, you can find that there, and it'll take you directly to the page I mentioned. So then, with no further ado, let's have a little look at this week's die of the week, shall we? Now, this week's die of the week is brought to us by the lovely Sue Wilson, and as a little prod, actually, don't dilly-dally with this. Last week's die of the week sold out very quickly. I have a feeling this week's is probably going to do the same. This is a lovely die set. There are 4 dies in here, and actually, I'll be honest with you, I try and plan our die of the week quite a way in advance, and I've been super excited about getting to play with this one. I love a lattice, you know that. You've possibly seen that featuring some of my dies that I've designed. I love lattice work, I love that delicate bit. I love ovals because it gives us these areas to work around, especially when we can bring into those our corner dies as well and sort of fill those in too. And a lattice is always a great one because it's got that lovely uniform style to it. This one actually has some little snowflakes put into it as well, and of course with our 4 dies, and we'll look at the dies in a moment so you can see them broken down and actually see how they're all going to work for you. But with 4 dies, we've got a lot of options on how we can place these, whether we wish to cut into our cardstock, cut out of our cardstock, frame them, different options like that. So this die set should actually be £16.50. That's its true recommended retail price. Now, you know we love to bring you a die of the week with a special deal. This week is no different. It's not even half the price of what it should be. So we're not even asking for, what would that be, £8.25? It's even lower than that. This die this week is £7.49, meaning you're actually saving more than you're spending. You're saving a whopping £9 and a penny off of recommended retail price by ordering this one right now. Now, on top of that, you're also going to receive free UK P&P. So if you're new to us at Craftmania and you don't know how our shipping works, anytime you spend over £5, your P&P in the UK is completely free. And it doesn't matter if you're buying a die, a packet of cards, a stamp, whatever it is, if it's over £5, it's free UK P&P. We don't want you spending money on P&P. P&P is the one thing that we don't really get anything for, do we? Yes, we get it to our door, that's lovely, but we haven't got a tangible product to play with for that. So why pay for it unless you have to? So free P&P anytime you spend over £5 in the UK. Sadly, we can't go quite that extreme when it comes to our international customers, because of course you can have this sent to you anywhere in the world, but we do try and keep it as fair and as low as we possibly can. So international P&P is capped at just £10. And again, that doesn't matter what you're ordering, how much you're spending, it is capped at £10. If we can manage to get your shipping cheaper than £10, which does sometimes happen, but very rarely, being honest with you, because shipping nowadays is extortionate. But if we can, we will actually refund the difference for you. If, like it normally is, higher than £10, then here at Craftmania we will pay that for you. So the most you will pay is that £10, as we mentioned. And if you are watching us from around the world and you would like to make the website in your currency, if you have a little look, there will be a Union Jack along the top in the menu bar. If you give that a little click, you can then pick your flag from your country or your currency, and it will convert the whole website into that currency for you. So again, you don't have to guess at what you're going to be paying, whether it comes to the P&P or of course transitioning the prices that I'm talking about into your currency. So don't forget, this die should be £16.50p. Special offer for you, only £7.49p. I've told you where to go to get it, haven't I? Onto the YouTube tab across the menu, and you will find it in there as our die of the week. You'll see the picture of the die. Give that little box a click and it will take you through, and it will show you all of the card samples that I'm about to introduce you to, and it of course will give you all of the links to all of the items that we're about to have a little look at. So let's delve in and see what you could be creating with this die. So as mentioned, there are actually 4 dies in this set, and I always love a Sue Wilson die because she really does design with that utmost creativity and options in mind, and this die is no different. So let's introduce you to the 4 different components, shall we? So first of all, we've got a large oval which actually has a pierced detail running around the inside of it. So when this one cuts, you're going to receive that pierced detailing also on that panel to give that a lovely finish. Moving down from there, we have a straight line oval. Now this means that we can pop that one into this one, and we can cut that out as just a little frame with that pierced detailing, which is really lovely because you might wish to use that as a frame in your scrapbooking, journaling, card making, or any other options. Maybe even creating like hanging elements for your Christmas tree if you're into doing Christmas decorations, and using the next dies to frame in the middle of it. So giving you lots and lots of options just for those 2 alone. Moving on, we then have your filigree panel. So this is the one that's going to do all that lovely lattice work for you. It's also going to cut in your snowflakes as well. Now this one does not have an attached inside or outside blade to it. That means that if we cut just this one on its own, it will stay attached to your card. So you may wish to cut this in as an aperture on the front of your card, so it will stay there with that lovely lattice work with a solid middle to it. You might wish to, if you prefer, start using some of these dies to nest it as well and cut that out. So you could go with this line and have quite a small flat edge around that side to cut that one out and use it as a freestanding item. Or of course you could go for the wider edge and the pierced detail and go with this die instead. Or, of course, you could go down to die 4. Now, die 4 is a small oval that goes in the centre, and it again has that pierced detailing running around the inside of it. So if you wish to, you could cut out the centre of that. So you could cut that into your cardstock, leaving it attached to your card on the outside because we're not using these edges, and actually cut out the centre so you've got a little aperture in there as well. Or, of course, once again, we could use this to trim out and layer on top of that one if we wish to. Of course, bringing back in these 2 dies also means we could trim that out and have it like a donut as such, with an opening in the middle and free from our card as well. So lots and lots of options, even with just 4 dies, on how you might wish to cut in, cut out, stack, layer, create your frames. So many ways in which you're going to be using these. And of course, at only £7.49, quite an incredible bargain for such a nice size die with so many options. So let's show you what you could be doing with this and give you a couple of ideas, shall we? So this is the first card I wanted to share with you. Now, of course, as of this Tuesday this week, my Christmas collection will be launching to the world, and you'll be able to get your hands on it at Craftmania, along with all of the Jamie Rodgers craft stockists. So I have got these dies on my desk, and I've been playing around with them quite a lot. So I've got quite a few to sort of let you know about as we go through. Of course, we're focusing on our lovely lattice snowflake here in the middle, and I've used those 2 outside edges to create this frame. Then moving down, I've taken the lattice element and I've cut that into some gold mirror card. I've then used the outside edge, this one once again, to cut a solid gold mirror card panel. And I've stuck the 2 gold panels together. So it gives sort of a faux embossed look to that panel. Now, of course, you could do them in different colours if you prefer, but I actually really like that look of layering a gold die cut on top of gold card. Of course, I've done the same here in the layer below, using white die cuts on top of white card to give that style of faux embossing as well. So it could be done in any colour, but it's just a look that I really like. I've then used the small oval in the middle to layer up, adding my With Love die cut onto here. Across the top, we've got our reindeers and Father Christmas from the Christmas scene set. And of course, I've used my frosty snowflakes to actually cut in and stay into the cardstock. I've also used my Night Sky Navy Elite card, my Polar White card, and of course my Gold Mirror card to build this card up. Then moving on, slightly different idea for you. You're going to notice a lot of the times I've used my snowflake corners actually, because I found they match so nicely with the snowflakes that are in the lattice. So to me, that was sort of a certain tie-in part that worked really nicely. Also on this card, I've used my classic poinsettia and I've cut all of the elements out of our lovely seashell blue elite cardstock and polar white cardstock. Now in the middle here, I've covered up quite a lot of this, but I think that actually works quite nicely because you get this lattice sort of poking through from underneath. You've got those snowflakes cut in, you've got that little raise as well, where I've added in foam tape to raise the layers up. And of course, we're seeing that pierced oval coming in the layer below as well. Finished off with our festive wishes and our little banner sentiment panel as well. It's a really simple, easy card to create. I'll also point out, and I'll try and get it so you can see this, I've used our pinstripe stencil to emboss the panel in the reverse there. So we've got that lovely pinstripe detailing coming down on that seashell blue card. Moving on to our next example for you. So this time we've gone a bit blingy, we've got the silver mirror card out and we've really gone to town. So for our main focal, what I've used this time is I have used our outside oval edge, I've used the lattice panel and I've used the centre. And I've put those three together and I've cut that out of our lovely Night Sky Navy cardstock. I've then taken away the panel in the middle and I've used these two pieces and I've cut that from the silver mirror card. The top cut, the one in navy, I've then placed on top of the silver one and glued it down. Below that, I've taken this pierced oval and I've cut that from our polar white cardstock. And that creates our sort of double layered stacked effect that I've created here. I've then sunk into the middle with my With Love cut from the same navy cardstock. And I've finished this off using the snowflake corners in all four corners. And I've added on this lovely ribbon with this silver detailing. Very simple, very easy, very sort of clean and simple to create. Moving on to our next one. So this time I've worked with our Decadent Ivy cardstock, our Romantic Red and our Heritage Green. And for the main focal, I've taken my pierced oval, I've popped inside the lattice panel and I've cut that out together out of the Decadent Ivory. I've then cut one of these panels in gold, in the gold mirror card, and popped that underneath and just glued that flat. I've added on a few pearls and I've die cut the word sister from my female sentiment set to add into the middle. With our classic poinsettia, I've cut one layer in the Romantic Red and one in the Heritage Green, and I've used coordinating colours of ink to go over the top of them and just to stress them down. I've added in some foliage pieces from our lovely foliage set as well, and once again in the background I've used that pinstripe stencil to emboss with to create that lovely detailing on the Decadent Ivory cardstock. I've added a little ribbon and I've matted and layered in the same colours that are featured in the flowers and in the mirror card so that it all ties together nicely. Moving on to our fifth example. So this time I've brought in the snow stencil and embossed that to create the background. And then for my middle panel, I've brought in, of course, our pierced oval, and I've done that from Polar White and layered that onto my card. And then I've brought in these three dies and cut that out from the seashell blue card to create the layered piece in the centre. And I've just built that up with some foam pads so there's a bit of a shadow going on underneath it, which is something I really like to do. For the bar across the middle, I've used the same pinstripe embossing folder as we've mentioned a couple of times, but I've trimmed that down just to a small bar with some white card either side of it, just to give that little subtle belly band style. I've added on my sleigh and reindeer from the scene set, and I've also brought in the trees to build up a little forest across the bottom as well. So very simple, very easy, very elegant, and again just sticking to our two colours of that lovely seashell blue and the polar white from the Elite cardstock. Then moving on to number 6, this time I have used the Night Sky Navy, the seashell blue and the polar white card, and I felt that that trio worked quite nicely together. I've used my snowflake corners to actually trim into my panel, and then I've raised the panel up on top of the night sky navy, so that again there's a bit of a shadow, a bit of a height difference. For the middle part here, I've brought in, of course, our lovely lattice snowflake dies, and I've used these two together to cut out of the seashell blue, which is our top frame. I've then used these two together to cut out of the night sky navy, which is our middle frame. And I've also used the middle, of course, to trim that out. So I've got, again, a sunken area in which I could stick my Nan sentiment. Also on this card, we've got some more of our foliage used, and of course our classic poinsettia, just to finish that one off with lots of texture and lots of depth as well, really building in. And then of course in the layers, we've gone for the same shades of cardstock that I've done my die cutting from and my panels from to match in and coordinate. Then on to our last card for this week. Again, very easy, very achievable, very simple card. This time I've used the postage stamp edge, which comes with the set of corners, and I've taken the die and cut that into the actual panel instead, because on a lot of the other cards I've cut it into, of course, the ovals that it comes with. But I did want to remind you, you can be cutting this into all of your other nesting dies, your cardstock, your different panels, whatever you wish to. So from this card, I've chose to go for the postage stamp square, and I've cut those two into it from the polar white cardstock. So I've got this lovely open lattice with this open area in the middle. I've of course added in the sentiment of mum into the centre of that, cut from some silver mirror card. I've again gone for the classic poinsettia and the foliage, and I've cut all of these elements out of, again, the seashell blue. You can really start to see I've got a bit of a favourite forming, haven't I, between the night sky navy and the seashell blue. To me, they're just lovely shades, and I keep really radiating to work with those. I've again used our lovely frosty snowflake corners, and this time I've trimmed them out and layered them onto the card and glued them down flat. But that really completes all 7 of our samples for this week's die of the week. Now I'm hopeful that they're going to give you a little bit of inspiration on what you could be creating with this die. Now if you do want to get your hands on this one, as I mentioned earlier, it is on offer at the moment for only £7.49, and it should be, it's recommended, is £16.50. I have a feeling this one is really going to fly. We know a lot of you have got the dies that coordinate from the samples that I've been working with, and I know that you're going to be looking at this one and thinking, well, if I add that into my stash, I can build these cards because I've got those other elements. And I don't blame you. It's such a lovely one. It's going to work with for all of your festive creations. And I know that Christmas is on the tip of our tongue at the moment, isn't it? As crafters, it is the season that we are creating our Christmas cards. So don't forget, free UK P&P, reduced to only £7.50 instead of £16.50. And if you do want to get hold of this one, pop onto the website www.craftmaniacrafts.com, find that little YouTube section I mentioned in the menu bar, and then that way you'll go through to the right page and you can have a little look for our lattice snowflake die of the week page, and on there everything will be there. Whether it's these lattice corners, the cardstock I've used, the with love, the pearls, all of the elements you see on the cards before you, they will all be on that one page to save you hunting for them. And of course, just like everything else on the website, anytime you spend over £5, you will receive free UK P&P. And of course, if you're shopping internationally, you will receive that capped at £10 P&P, so that the most you will pay is £10 to have it posted to you anywhere in the world. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them in the comments, and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. But thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.